the Navi community was able to defeat because of these few folks. So I thought, all right, so see, it's a movie, but it could tell us something about stuff.
For me, when I saw it, because I'm into environmentalism so much, so that's what I saw in the movie. Some conservative commentators in the United States see it as an attack on religion, and some right wing bloggers, naman in the United States see it as an attack on the American military. So you see what you want to see.
You're
in
right,
this movie.
and
It's very fascinating that way, actually.
in addition to that, there's a huge thing in the blogs, talking about the racist, content of the movie.
It's basically, a guilt trip for white men, how they feel that they should be saviors of everybody. I get that. I mean, we learned that in post-colonialism. Sometimes,
But you should agree with that, yeah.
sometimes
Is it?
I just would rather enjoy a movie first, and I enjoyed it as a piece of cinema, and it was a brilliant piece of cinema. And we have to do the interpretation later on. But sometimes I think people just overthink too much.
Last week, since I already mentioned this, during the conversation, a student asked me if this movie could have a sort of successful part 2. We know in cinema,
But I'm not sure about
what do
James
you think
Cameron.
about, like,
I mean,
Titanic
is
the
the biggest movie
using,
of all
since
time.
they're using
He directed
imagination, could we use another imagination to make sort of continue the story?
it. Sequel, probably. I mean, like, it's the second biggest movie of all time right now. So, I mean, knowing Hollywood, whatever is successful, you have to repeat it. So,
but there's no Titanic part 2.
Of course, because Titanic sank.
Maybe they could explore the ship.
But they did in the beginning of the movie. It was basically an exploration of Titanic. So,
I can't remember now.
well, the thing is, people are really looking for a sequel for Avatar. I mean, there is actually a lot of people right now who are, this is strange, but they're kind of depressed because when the movie ends, their experience of Pandora ends with it, and they get into a depression. And there are various bulletin board discussions all over the internet that talk about people who are experiencing that they want to go back to Pandora. I guess there is now this demand. A well-up of demand for part 2. But it took 15 years for James Cameron to come up with this particular movie.
We have to wait for another 15 years.
Maybe another 3 years. I mean, this was groundbreaking, in terms of, like, technology. I mean, he felt when he wrote this in 1997, and when he approached some producers, they could not find, they told him there is no technology that could do what he wanted. But that's the thing about James Cameron. In fact, if you observe all of his movies, he usually creates the technology to make his movies. Like in The Abyss, for example.
That's a good point.
Like in The Abyss, if you remember that particular movie, the submersibles there.
The Abyss, by the way.
I'm sorry.
sorry.
The submersibles there, they did not exist when he made the film. So after the movie, there were now this circular submersibles. And the same thing with Titanic. He had to create the technology to make that particular movie. And the same thing with so many of his other movies. So that's what I like about James Cameron, because aside from being a director, he's actually a very good scientist. He creates technology to make his own fantasy.
And he's, I think, in addition to that, a good observer of what's the void of our society. Slovenian philosopher Slavoj Žižek would call this, using Lacanian category, would use this as a sort of void. I think Cameron, with Titanic and now Avatar, is able to fill in this void that we have as a society.
Void in terms of what?
Well, this desire, this longing that is sort of, say, unfilled. So there is that kind of area of our lives, of our psyche that, if when it stopped, it's kind of powerful, really. And in this particular movie, Avatar was able to top this void, and that's this sort of our attention, our attraction to this thing. Not only about how great this movie is, when it terms of from your perspective as work of art, but in terms also of in which, this attracted to our primal archetypal psyche, that I thought was fascinating on my part, just considering his two major works. I mean, Titanic and Avatar.
Well, you also meant Terminator.
Really? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Terminator, the Terminator movies.
It's good to have a teacher here.
Well, a film teacher. I live and breathe movies, so yeah, I'm sorry.
Great. So I'm also thinking, that's first I was sort of because I've read an article basically arguing that this movie is also about conversion.
Conversion.
Right. Jake did not really believe in all these things. But then when he was able to experience the world of Pandora, something in him sort of was provoked, and he was able to believe in the process, in this story of love.
But I guess we have to see his context. I mean, he comes from Earth. We don't see Earth in the movie, but from the descriptions of Earth, it's basically a barren place. And if you go to Pandora and you...
And it's crippled from war or something,
and of
right?
course, you see his body, and Pandora being a Navi, in a sense, gave him mobility, gave him movement. So if I were Jake and I get to experience Pandora from the devastation of Earth, and I get to move from being a cripple, I'd want to convert.
You could do whatever you want. You can ride that, what do you call that bird? It's like a dinosaur or something, or eagle.
A phoenix? What?
Phoenix?
Oh, I don't know.
You can jump, you can run.
Yeah, okay.
And, with all these the places that you could go to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's also that particular story, I guess, in the movie.
So what do you think about the character? I mean, in terms of how...
Which characters?
The characters. Feminists would say that...
but the feminists actually have something to say about the movie.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
They feel that... especially with the avatars, with the Navi, they felt that they look a little too slender compared to the male Navi, and I found that a little too like, oh come on. I'm a feminist, but sometimes like.
And I mean, one of their points. I mean, from what I've heard, they are more appreciative because it was actually when Jake's girlfriend,
Neytiri,
came, that they were able to defeat the Colonel. I mean, was he the one? She the one to...
But actually, she was a very, very strong character in the movie. So I give James Cameron high marks for really giving us strong female characters in the movie. We have that in the character of Sigourney Weaver, and we have that in the character of Zoe Saldana, who plays Neytiri. They were very, very strong. And in fact, the mother of Neytiri was kind of like, I mean, the husband was the ruler, but she was the spiritual guide. In a sense, she was closer to Newa, their god. Okay, so we have really strong female characters here in this movie. So yeah, I mean, feminists should rejoice with this particular.
She was the one who was able to kill the Colonel, right? Or was it Jake?
I can't remember. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, but we get that a lot in many movies, instead of like the hero saving the girl, it's the damsel in distress who gets to save
the other way around.
The hero. So it's a common device in many literary works, in movies as well. Because we always get the other way around, But that's a classic way of telling a story. So to make it new, we get the damsel in distress saving the hero, which is not